Hi, everyone. Yep, it's that time again, and we are using our black time clocks today. So you may notice us running a little late. So
Mhm.
I'm just stating for fact. Usually we are in here before this.
Mhm.
I want to say thank you to everybody who was part of our Discord stream today. The panel was fantastic. After we watched that movie, we all had a few things to say about it, and had a lot of fun. The movie in question is John Woo's 1997 action masterpiece, Face Off. And that movie is a seminal classic around some haunts. A lot of my friends and I, we would watch that movie probably every weekend that a new good movie had failed to come out at the theaters. We would pop that in the DVD player and add that to our movie retinue, the new movie routine. That was a staple for many years until we got a hold of some other John Woo classics. A Better Tomorrow 1, A Better Tomorrow 2, Hard Boiled. Probably my favorite is The Killer. Now, I'm speaking French right now to Janet because she only knows Hard Target, and I don't even think she's seen that. Have you?
I don't know who is in Hard Target.
Jean Claude Van Damme.
I don't think I've seen that either because I didn't really like his stuff, so I just didn't buy tickets. I bought tickets to people that I thought were good, like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. I'm trying to think of some other actors that did that kind of stuff. Someone that you don't like, Jason Statham. I like his movies.
It's not that I don't like Jason Statham. I hate the editors and the camera guy that usually follow him around.
Yeah,
I
because I was
think
going to say
I
that doesn't really have much to do with him.
No, it doesn't. But most of the movies he's done, and most of the movies that were miserably produced in America in the early 2000s, the miserable, poor, shitty films, they have shaky cam and sped up fight scene cam, and really, there's no call for that. There's a very good movie from Indonesia called The Raid, and we've seen
Yeah,
it.
we
We've
did that
talked about that movie. That we did that. That's one of the best movies that's out there.
one.
And the reason why I love that movie so much is because they don't play any camera tricks. They just let the shit record, and then they play it back for you, and you get to see every agonizing detail. I don't even know if they really pull their punches in that movie because it looks like they are really getting injured. So they have a good makeup department on that team. I'll just say that. But it's one of the better films that's been put to American cinema, and that movie kind of reset me as I was searching for a way out of the Jason Statham hellscape, which was the early 2010s, late 2000s, where every goddamn film was sped up and had shaky cam. Even Peter Berg fucked up. There was a Mile 48 or some movie with Mark Wahlberg and Eloka Kawis, the guy that was in the Raid movies.
Hmm.
And instead of it being a good action film, it's fucking ruined by that goddamn shaky cam. And Peter Berg, I expect so much more out of him. Shame on him for creating such a shit action movie. Uh,
Well, that's okay. No, that's why we have so many different directors and stuff. Is because we're not meant to all love the same things. You know, that's why we have different movies. So if people can go see one, someone can see something else. Because there's a
so
few movies you've had me watch that I never would have seen ever in my lifetime if it hadn't been for you. And I'm sure there's some few movies that you'd never would have watched if it hadn't been for me. So, that's what I mean. And you have different directors that want to film those kinds of movies. So, but yeah, I really, really am glad we watched this again. It's been, I don't know how long. I think
uh,
it's about 7 or 8 times. But
eh,
this time watching it, it was really, really good because I got to see it. Uh, I don't know. For some reason, I saw more in this time than I did the last few times I watched it. I picked up on more things, more little details that I guess I missed out from past viewings of it. I was really impressed with it. That was very, very, very well done. The director has a good eye. He knew what he wanted to portray to the people watching his movie.
So my big question for you is,
Mhm.
you've seen this movie like 8 or 10 times.
Yeah.
What was the thing that stuck out to you the most on this film?
Well, I like the fact that it was very centered around family and how important love is, real love, because his major character, uh, husband and wife, John Travolta's character and his wife, I think her name's Eve. Uh,
Mhm.
they've been married many years, and the fact that when the opening scene, you see him on a carousel, and you don't know if it's at a fair or whatever, or it could be at the park, city park, depending on where he lived. But he's on it, standing there with his son, going up and down on the little horse, and he's talking to him and enjoying his time with his son alone, because the wife isn't there, and the daughter isn't there, the older sister of the little boy. You don't see them, you just see him with his son, and they're interacting, and they have little close-ups where he's hugging him, and he gives him a little peck on the cheek, and he jokes around with him and stuff, and then he picks him up and puts him on a different horse. It's like interaction. And he maybe looked maybe 5 or 6 years old, the little boy. He was adorable, little actor they got to portray him. But I'm trying to watch it with a new view, a new look, so I can try to absorb it and take information. Because the last couple times I've seen it, I never thought about talking about it to other people as a review or anything. But I just loved it. I love the fact that you automatically connect with both the characters on screen, and then all of a sudden you see the camera break away, and you see a little hill in the distance, and you see Nicolas Cage's character take off his long coat and then fling it to the side, like a very dramatic and over the top, kind of character, which was interesting, the way that the director wanted to portray that character, and Castor. And he gets down, gets his gun out, and then you start seeing through the lens of the scope, and he's zooming in on. You don't know for sure whether he wants to kill the kid or he's trying to kill uh, his character, which is a cop, a famous detective or whatever. And you see the camera going in and out, and then you see the carousel still moving and other people, there. And then he takes a couple sips from his drink, like he's trying to make sure it's the right moment. And right when he picks up his son, and he's holding his son in front of him, and you see his back to the scope, and then you see him shoot, and you see the bullet hit him, basically, because you see the spot on his jacket like explode, like he had been shot in the back, like to the right of side of his back. And then you see him fall backward, and he's holding his son, and then you see the blood spatter on the horse, the carousel horse, and then you see him fall back, and then you see the reaction from Castor, like shock, like he wasn't expecting what happening. And then a camera goes back, and you see John Travolta's character crawling towards the sun, which is just a couple feet away from him, and the son's laying motionless. So then I started crying again, because I cry every time on this scene, because it's so, as a parent, you just are heartbroken and devastated over it, and especially since you don't understand the situation about why this is happening, why is this guy wanting to kill him, and you don't know that much about this character yet. But you see him grab his limp son, and he's dead, basically. So he ended up living, and the son died, and then it shows 6 years later. Okay. So it was very traumatic, and I was already crying and sniffling and stuff at the very beginning of the movie, simply because of the opening scene. But it pulls you in. Any person that has a heart, has feelings, or cares about others, automatically wants to see the person who shot him and his son punished. So immediately you're hooked. You're wanting to. You're in there for the whole ride of the show, because you want to see him pay for what he did. And he did a great job. The director did such a good job to me in that opening scene to make me want to see the guy get his ass kicked. So it worked, and it made you love the man. Even though the man's got flaws, and later you start seeing different things about his flaws, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You can't help but still want to root for him because of what he went through and what his wife went through. Because in real life, so many people who lose a child in their marriage, they get divorced. And that's why it reminded me of the whole Adam Walsh story, basically, and she ended up getting pregnant and having another child, but to have your child murdered, like that is very hard on a relationship, because you blame each other. The wife could blame him if you've done this or done that, or you didn't have that bad job, or, whatever. And a lot of people drink, do drugs, and it ruins the relationship. So it was nice to root for someone who was supposedly the good guy and a hardworking mom, and they had another daughter, a family, and you wanted to root for them to win and see justice prevail.
See,
And
I love this film. I think the initial start of the movie is just fantastic. But no matter what I'm watching here, I got to identify with what Shadow says. Travolta,
yeah, I
he's
didn't
in this movie, and he starts with all the gusto. He
Mhm.
completely goes with all the gusto, no matter what he's doing. And when he's playing the part of Sean Archer, he's kind of subdued, kind of pussified. But whenever he is inhabited by the spirit of Castor Troy, it's complete. Or whenever Castor Troy is, got the skin suit on for John Travolta, it's completely just sixth gear and overdrive. He doesn't stop. Whereas Nic Cage really approaches this movie, it feels like he approaches it a lot slower, a lot more methodical. And I noticed that I really enjoyed Cage's performance in this movie a lot more than John Travolta's. Travolta's just way, way
Over
over the top. Yeah.
That's like I said, that to me, I think the director chose both the characters or the actors for these characters simply because of how he planned on shooting the movie. Just like I said, the scene at the very beginning where you see Nicolas Cage take off his jacket kind of in slow motion, and then he kind of flings it like over the toply. If you're a person that's got a gun, you're about to kill someone, you're going to be as discreet as possible. But this was like he was saying, "Hey, look at me! I got a gun. I'm going to kill someone." In broad daylight. So that was over the top. But Nicolas Cage can do over the top without seeming, I don't know, what's the word? Not dramatic, but a dick. I mean, I don't know. It's like it's in his personality, it's in his blood, and that's just what you expect from him. I don't really expect that from John Travolta. So that little things like that is what I noticed this time when I watched it, because I didn't remember uh, how over the top he was in some of the things that he did this time that I watched, because I was actually paying attention to critique it a little bit. So that was kind of a little bit of a letdown. But just like I said, the whole time I watched it this time, all I could think of was Swordfish, his character in that. So, because to me, it was almost like the same character, the way he acted, not the story about his wife and all that kind of stuff, the way he was acting when he was Castor. That's how he acted in Swordfish, so I can see why certain directors pick certain actors, because he thinks they're going to give them what they want to portray in their movie. So I think it was cast well. I thought, I really think they both did an excellent job playing the characters they were supposed to, because he was supposed to be flawed. He's a father who lost his son right in front of him because of someone he was hunting, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and had arrested many of his cohorts, I'm sure. So, in a way, it kind of worked. And because of the character of Castor, honestly, it made him a little bit of a badass, okay, the way you wanted to hate him, but you didn't, because he was Nicolas Cage. But when he got the tables turned and he became Aster, right? He um he was more subdued. And to me, when he was talking to Sasha's character about the son, and he was hugging him and calling him Matthew and stuff instead of Adam, I just started crying again because it was, to me, I felt the emotion, even though he had a different face. He wasn't the guy that I saw at the very beginning playing with his son and very interactive. It was a totally different guy, right? Even though it was the same person, but he did that good of a job at making me believe that he was that same guy with a new person's face. And I just thought he did a phenomenal job for that portrayal
Well,
of that character in this movie. I thought he was really good. Nicolas Cage really, this is one of my favorite movies by him. So I really enjoyed it.
Six Nations, hello, sir. And Flady joins us in the chat. Six Nations says, this is classic John Woo. Nick stole the
Mhm.
show, in my honest opinion. I'm not knocking Travolta. Cage's bad guy role was just smooth and creepy all at once. Travolta kind of reprises his character in Broken Arrow sort of way. Yeah, his acting in this movie is not as good as what I thought Travolta would be. There's a movie from Paris with Love, I think is the name of it, came out in '09. And that's a really good John Travolta film. He kind of takes the same attitude, but they give him a shaved head and let him be an FBI guy in that movie, and it's just absolutely off the charts fun. And watching that movie, we'll have to watch that film at some point in the near future because it's really probably it could have been like a sequel post divorce Sean Archer is how I view that movie because John Travolta's character in that feels like it's really close to this character here, but he just feels more realized, like he's actually putting effort into the character role. Um,
Yeah, I believe, though, honestly, I hate to say this, it might be kind of mean, but if he was to play that same role now after losing his own son, I think it would have been he would have done it way
a
differently.
lot more weight to it. A
Yeah.
lot more weight.
I don't know. I'm not saying that Nicolas Cage has lost a child or not because I don't know. I didn't look into any of that, but I don't know. Something about his Nicolas Cage's acting with the actress that played Eve, okay,
Joan
was
Allen.
really, really just spot on for me. The scene, especially when he's bleeding and he's talking to her, trying to get her to believe that he's her husband. And then the scenes where John Travolta is playing Nicolas Cage's character with his wife, to me, were more believable of his character, his interaction with her, than before when he was playing himself.
I
So,
honestly believe that Joan Arc's scenes on this movie are probably my favorite scenes in the movie.
mhm.
And it took me to turn 50 years old for me to say that. But the scenes that she's in, all of those scenes have a lot of weight. All of those scenes feel very emotionally charged and just laden with character depth, angst, frustration, betrayal. You get all the things in this movie that you want, and they all come to the fore whenever Joan Allen's on screen. Which that's really weird because that was not really anybody that the studio wanted. They saw Joan Allen and they're like, "What
They
are you
thought she was too
doing?
old.
Yeah, she's too
They
old
want
for this."
and she did look older, but the
Yeah,
thing is, that's why you didn't see her in the 6 years earlier. You saw her later when she already had a teenage daughter and things like that.
and
I thought
and
she did a great job.
and the
But
thing is that she
oh, go
can
ahead.
she's like one of these women. You're in that same classification, in my opinion, where the age of who she is doesn't really matter because if we need somebody to play an 80 or 90-year-old woman, just throw makeup at Janet or Joan Allen and we can do it. If we need
Yeah,
them to play a younger character, just throw a little bit of makeup at them and they can do it. And like many of us saw last week when you played the character or you wanted to play the character for Princess
this is
Buttercup, you look like you were younger than me, very much younger than me. Whereas whenever you
blonde wigs help.
Bond wigs help, but Joan Allen in the Bourne trilogy
Mhm.
or in Oh, Death Race 2000 with Jason Statham. She
Hmm.
looks like she's in her like mid 40s in those movies,
Hmm.
and she's not. She was born in 55. She betrays her age on camera real easy. Blonde hair, straight uh, hairdo. She comes out looking like a rose, early 40s every fucking time. So I'm just saying, like, there's certain things like some people can do. They just put on the wig or do whatever, and immediately they drop however many years or decades it is, but you wouldn't be able to guess her age properly. It just won't happen.
Also, her acting ability to connect with the audience is
Yeah.
really good. She's very good at playing the character that she's supposed to be. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but like she's a mother in this one. She's a mother, a grieving mother who lost her child, and then she has another daughter. Okay, that she's trying to use kid gloves on because she feels guilty because her daughter lost her brother. So there's a lot of sadness around them. Yet she still tries to portray someone who's trying to keep her house in order, making sure her daughter eats and goes to school, all those things. But the husband also helps, like when she's talking to the daughter and she turns around and has all the drawn on eyelashes and all that stuff. She's way over the top, and she's trying to get attention. You can tell. And a mother knows that, type of thing. Well, some fathers too, I'm sure, but not all mothers would notice. It's a hands-on parent would know that, wow, I need to get my daughter some help because this is she's crying out for attention, and I don't know I don't know how to give her any more than I'm already giving her, that type of thing. So little things like that. She did such a good job on, and I really liked her character. But this time when I watched it, I was drawn more to Sasha's character because of her lifestyle in the movie. Because when you see a mother in a movie that's married to a police officer and she has a good job, she's a nurse or a doctor, and she goes to work, and they live in an upscale neighborhood. You expect them to be upscale, to not be criminals, not to be shooting up in the alley, all this type of thing, or hanging out with prostitutes, things like that. But when I got to see Sasha's character, she was a woman who's surrounded by thugs, criminals, drug addicts, all these different things. And she has an on off relationship with Nicolas Cage's character. And Yeah, that was one of the lines that I wrote down that he just said was one of the standout lines. And we're like, what the fuck? I was like, whoa, I forgot about that, how over the top that was. And see, he was very over the top when he played Nick, or is that Nick Castor, right?
Castor Troy.
Castor Troy, that's right. Okay, so Nicolas Cage, sorry about that. But when he was very over the top. But the scenes with what's her name again? Let me find it real
Joan
quick.
Allen.
Yeah, Sasha Hasler, I guess. Uh,
Okay, Gina Gershon's character.
the one who played Sasha. Okay. I really was impressed with it. I thought she did a very, very believable job as a woman that enjoyed the fast paced lifestyle in this realm that she was in, and she was very pretty. So I'm sure the guys fawned over her and stuff like that. But then she fell in love with Nicolas Cage's character, and through the little tryst they had, she got pregnant. But she never told him because I think for one, she really didn't want him to be the dad because of the who came along with it, basically, right?
Yeah.
But she was in love with him because you could tell when she reacted, the way she reacted with him and stuff. Even though he was calling out another woman's name, she still wanted to sleep with him, that type of thing. So she was a torn, uh, broken-hearted character that had a son that she loved and she was willing to die for, basically. And that's what I loved about her character in this movie. When I watched the one scene where she gets she's there, and he shows up, which he thinks is Nicolas Cage's character, but it's really Sean, who's had the face off change, and she, because he looks like him and stuff. But when she's talking to him, she doesn't seem to notice the change, the way he's acting different. He's more attentive. He's listening to what she's saying. And then when he meets the kid, and she tells him it's his son and all that, he's like, he's, he's torn because he's realizing he doesn't have a son. His son died, but he has empathy for the boy. And, it's just a very emotional scene. And I really thought they bounced off each other really well, and it was a really good scene. I just thought she was so good in it. And then when you see her, fighting, holding him, running through there, but shooting a gun, trying to protect her kid, even though it was the police. Yeah, she was killing police officers, shooting police officers, but that was her kid. It didn't matter if it was bad guys. To her, they were bad guys. They were trying to kill her and her kid. That's all she could think of. So I'm not saying that she shouldn't go to prison or anything like that. I'm saying I liked the way she portrayed Mama Bear, someone who's protecting her offspring, basically. And I thought she did really good. And then when she died, I started crying again when she died, laying on top of someone she thought she was in love with, even though it wasn't him. It was, someone wearing his face, basically. So that to me was a very emotional, the whole thing. And knowing the little boy didn't have a mother anymore, but the scene where he reaches over, the building's being shot up and everything all around him, and he grabs the little boy off the bed and jumps onto the floor and says, "Get down," or whatever, because they're coming through the windows and stuff, all the SWAT, because of Castor's with the other face is trying to kill all of them, get rid of them, because as long as all those other people are out of the way, then he'll be the lead crime boss, basically, right? So that scene, though, when he reaches over and he grabs the little headphones, the little kid's headphones, and puts them on his little head, I just started bawling again because it was so moving. Even though he was a bad guy, or he looked like the bad guy, he was the guy that lost the son in the very beginning, and all he could think of was comforting this little boy, even though he's being shot at, and all the chaos going around him. I just loved it. And then they do the slow motion stuff, I guess because you said Wu does that a lot, because I haven't seen any of his other movies yet.
Yep.
And the music playing is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I was like, oh, you can't help but bawl your eyes out. It was so emotional for me. And I just thought the same. Maybe that's one reason why I really liked her character, because there was so much emotion brought out of me for her and her son. And then she's got that gun and she's just, running through trying to shoot people. I could see myself doing that if I felt like I was in a corner and I had to protect my kid. I would, whatever means possible, because at that moment they're the enemy.
Yeah.
I just loved it. I thought it was great. So,
Yeah.
What's this killer bean?
This was a fan project that Jeff Liu, he's a computer artist. I believe he did a lot of work for the Transformers movies as well. But this was something that he did in like 1999. And it's kind of a long movie, but we're just going to talk over it and just have the captions on, because this is a funny it's a funny little cute.
Yeah, I was just wondering what it had to do with the movie. That's all.
Jeff Liu's a big fan of John Woo. And if you've ever seen the Killer Bean 1 or 2 or 2.1 or even the Killer Bean 3, which is a feature-length movie of an hour and a half of coffee beans killing each other.
No, I've not seen anything. I've not seen anything like that in my lifetime.
Jeff Liu's a talented man. That's all I'm going to say. And a lot of this movie owes everything to John Woo. There's a lot of face-off inspired stuff in here, like the 2 gold pistols.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the things that I was able to find, that the guy that made the guns for the movie made 5 sets of guns, and one of them he made sure was right off the bat went to Planet Hollywood. So he was expected to be big. He thought it was going to be a really good, and they did a great job because both the boxes you see them open, they zoom in and it's got the two guns in there. So that's what he expected. And I absolutely loved the whole holster that he had when he took off his jacket. And he had the holster in the back where he could get both the guns, like, just one after the other like that. I thought that was really, really good. So little details like that were really good. And that shows to me that what the director wanted to portray. He wanted to portray a person that was uh, very skilled at what he did, with his guns. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact when he also, even though he's not, he looks like the detective when he's talking to his daughter that she thinks it's her dad, but it's really him with her father's face on, and he takes out that knife, that switchblade, and opens it and tells him, the next time that thug tries to grab you or whatever, you just open this up and stab him in the thigh and twist it to where it can't close up. And then she ends up using it on him later on, which I thought was great. I mean, just little things like that. The eye for detail that this director had was just phenomenal. I just really, really enjoyed him. I thought he was just a really good director for some of the techniques that he used. Like when this one thing I found in that one scene with the one plane that
Mm-hmm.
they going to have crash. They had it crashed into that big hangar. And
Yes,
during that whole scene,
that
they
scene was
only
great.
had they only had one plane,
Yeah,
so they
they
had
didn't have multiples, so they had like how many cameras? 13.
13 cameras all going in different angles, different places to capture everything they could so they could have enough material to put together when they did the editing for the movie because they only had one plane. And when you only have so much money to spend, you want to cover as many bases as you can. And this director definitely was really good at being able to uh, see things ahead of time, to see what he wanted and how it was going to be presented and set up to get the angles that he wanted. So he wasn't afraid to be one of those people that used multiple cameras, in here, there, and everywhere.
No, he had no problem grabbing extra cameras and making time to get everything set up, all the rigging ready, and then once we, get things moving, they did probably one test where they're like, okay, fire up all 13 cameras now. They all fire up at once. Okay, good. Let's shut it down. That's the day. Then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll film the scene, and we'll do the same thing that we did, except we'll just have the airplane in motion, and we'll go at it. And that scene kicked ass. That really did,
Yeah, it was
because
really, really good.
watching that in the theater for the first time, we had just got 5.1 Dolby Digital Surround in 1997 to our little burb of Forsyth, Illinois, at the Hickory Point, and they just made 12 cinemas. We started off with 6, but they kept splitting the damn theaters. It was eventually like 18, and then they bulldozed the building. But
Mhm.
they had a 5.1 surround in this place, and it was crazy hearing that movie scream at you with the airline, with the jet engines roaring in the background and everything just going completely 10 out of 10, furious. A lot of the people in the theater, what I did notice was that some people started leaving early because they didn't want to watch the boat chase. They thought the movie was done and over with. They're like, fuck, this is too much. It's
Yeah.
2 hours in. I only paid for 2 hours for the babysitter. I got to go. And so the boat chase was where I saw like a quarter of the audience left, and I was kind of like just not used to it. What's going on with all these people? Why are they leaving? But we stayed, and when they asked us, "Hey, did you like this movie?" Of course, we checked out like, yeah, 10 out of 10, because
Hmm.
the movie was released and we had never seen anything like it before. John Woo had came to town with this amazing film, and I'd never seen a hard target movie before. I never saw Broken Arrow. And so this movie with Nic Cage and John Travolta in it at the same time, yeah, sign me up. This is a great Friday night movie. And
Yeah.
the sound effects were great. That scene where the airline just smashes into the hangar and you get 13 varying angles of destruction, and then like things settling to the ground. That was
Yeah, and then also you have to remember too, right after that, they have the huge shootout with all the different people shooting machine guns and handguns and, explosions, people jumping off of, rigging. And I mean, it was just a madhouse in there because you had his brother and him trying to get away.
Hulk
That
and
all
Castor were
got
both trying to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, so it was just wham bam, thank you ma'am. It was just constant, action going. I don't remember that much time at all. Within at least every 20 to 30 minutes there was some huge action going on. It was just constant. And it was just, like wham, it was just so filled with something. It was always something going on. But one of the things I thought was interesting was I was trying to find it real quick here. Oh yeah, the costume designer, they made over 200 of those boots, those magnetic boots, and
Mhm.
it's some were metal, some were plastic, and the metal boots weighed 25 pounds each.
Yeah,
So
and
when you saw Nicolas Cage walking, you could see why he was walking that way. And the reason they made him heavy, I think, was because it was supposed to be where it was real hard for them to walk, so they couldn't escape because the floors were magnetized. And with the heavy shoes, they had to act. They made them walk awkwardly, like there was magnetism going on. And I just loved the prison. I thought that prison idea was just phenomenal, smart idea to kind of give you that futuristic view of where prisons or our penal system might go in the future, and the fact that the whole face-off thing was possible because if you have advances in policing and that kind of thing, you would also have huge advances in the medical field. And we were talking about that when we were doing the after the viewing in Discord about the 3D printer that was printing the ear, because his friend one of the cops got his ear shot off in one of the scenes. And it was very good because they did a good job at you seeing him get shot. And then later you see him in the hospital in the same place they bring him to get his face taken off, to swap faces with the criminal so he could go into the prison and get the brother to tell him, where the bomb was at. And the whole thing was just really, really good about the way Wu wanted you to view what was going on and understand what was happening without having to have someone doing a voiceover or something like that to fill in gaps. It was very visual, but the visual was enough for your mind to put two and two together so that you didn't skip a beat and you were, like filled with information as you went. I loved it. I just thought it was so good. And I cried, I laughed, I was cheering, I was on the edge of my seat, and I was standing up and jumping a few times when the bad guys were getting what they deserved. But I just thought, I don't know, I don't know how, um, because I haven't seen any other Wu movies. Just like you said, this to me right now, from where I'm sitting, this was one of the best movies I've seen, and I'd never heard of this guy before. Now I have, when you talked about some of the movies that he'd done, I didn't realize that that he was the director of them and things like that, because I wasn't into that part of movies. I wasn't really into talking about them with other people about my points of view on them. But I just thought the whole way that the people making the sets, the costume designers, all that different stuff, working to try to think ahead to know that, okay, we're going to have these people walking through this prison in prison garb, like scrubs or whatever it was that were wearing the dark greens and with numbers or whatever, but they had these metal boots on, so they couldn't really get away or climb on things and stuff because they were magnetized to the floor and had to work really hard to lift them. I just thought they did a great job at making them look like they were magnetized. And I was like, I wrote down a note. I said, damn, we need some prisons like this. How many people's going to want to break the law when they know they're going to go stuck at one of these prisons? You know what I mean? They wouldn't want to go. But man, they had some badasses in there.
Janet, we probably have about 10 to 15 of those nationwide, or things that are just as unfucking welcoming, because we know our friends at the company, the CIA, they would have something like this, especially after they saw this movie. If they didn't have it going before, they'd be like, oh shit, we've been doing it all wrong. we got hundreds of these miserable fucking platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. Let's go, you know, and
Well,
they just,
one thing though that I really, really liked was just like I said, the very first scene when you see him, Nicolas Cage's character Castor take off his coat and fling it. It was very over the top dramatic.
Mhm.
You just don't see that a lot in movies. I mean, purposely. You know what I mean? It's like,
it was supposed to be kind of inspired by the Lawrence of Arabia. There's a
well, that was
very,
the scene where he was getting out of his car and the wind was blowing his jacket
yeah.
before he was getting out. But the scene where he takes it off, I don't know what that was from, really, if it was from that or not. But it was just showing you the arrogance of this guy. And I did read a small blurb about he asked what he would want to look like 6 years earlier before the movie's supposed to start. Where we're going to get involved in it, and he wanted one of those mustaches to look like
I
a
want
porn king or something. It was
I
really
want to
over the
look like I want to look so badass. Give me a mustache. Give me
yeah.
most badass moon broom I could have.
Mhm. Yeah, so he did have that, which I thought was funny for his character. And he's sipping through the straw, all this different stuff, like he was just biding his time, waiting for the right moment to strike, because that's how arrogant he was. He's definitely a huge narcissistic character. And both of them played it very narcissistic, over the top, depending on which one was wearing the face at that time for that character. But I thought it was really, really good. But the part, there was another thing I took a thing. The part when he's on the plane before they even get the plane to crash or whatever into the hangar, when he gets the stewardess to sit on his lap, he taps his lap like that,
Peach
and she
flower.
sits down, and yeah, he says he was kind of saying, well, where do I need to send flowers or whatever, if I what could to get her address or whatever. Then he says, never mind, if I were to let you suck my tongue for hours, would you be grateful? So over the top, for him being such an arrogant prick, basically. I just thought he did great. But still, even though it was Nicolas Cage doing it, it just didn't seem out of character. But whenever I saw um, uh, John Travolta doing it, it just seemed too much. I don't know. That's probably why so many people said they didn't really like John Travolta's, acting in this movie. But that bad movie that he made is an Alien. I'm trying to remember the name of that one. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
His biggest bomb that John Travolta made, and he was an alien man.
Oh, Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, Battlefield Earth. He was so bad in that movie. To me, it was similarities. I could see little, I don't know, similarities between that movie and his character when he was Troy, his character in this movie. So there were just little things there that kept stabbing me. And that's the hardest part about doing a movie, reviewing a movie that's been out this long, because you can't help but pull in other things, which I try never to do, because it should just be based on what we're seeing on screen and at that moment, not adding the bad music from some other movies that weren't even in this movie, that kind of stuff. We should try not to do that. But
I'm
this
just gonna say that cinema will not be safe until we've eradicated Alan Parsons Project.
okay, if you want, but whatever. But the one scene where Nicolas Cage is in the bedroom, master bedroom, with his wife, but she thinks he's Castor Troy. And he's trying to get her to understand that, I have a different blood type. He's going to have AB negative, mine's O positive or whatever. And I know my voice sounds different or whatever, all the technology that he had. But when he put his hand over her face, like they used to do to their little boy, I just started crying again. It was so emotional for a lot of the things, because it was able to make me want to kick some ass, one scene, and the next scene I'm bawling like a little baby. It was terrible. But it was good. I mean, that's what made it good. I was in it for the long haul. I really cared about the characters. I wanted to see the good guys win and the bad guy get his ass kicked like you're supposed to. And, but it was hard to do that, to root for the bad guy, because of the great acting ability of Nicolas Cage being, Astor Troy or Castor Troy, whatever. It was just really hard. And even though in my mind, I was trying not to root for the bad guy. It was hard not to, because his acting and his characterization of the person he was portraying was just so good. He did such a good job, and that's why I see that list of all the awards that it was nominated and what they won, because I was really shocked. I was like, when I after I watched this again, I was like, wow, it was so good. The director did such a good job. Everything was, on point, that I could tell for each of the characters and stuff, that I couldn't help but think, wow, this must have won a lot of awards or been nominated for a lot of stuff. I think it was nominated for 11 Academy Awards. I think it won one. And I think it was in part of the things with the special effects and things like that. I think I'm not 100% because I just glanced over it, so we didn't really have a lot of time to do it after we watched the movie. But I just thought it was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm thankful that we got to watch it again.
Well, it's one of my favorite films. This came out about 3 months after I discovered John Woo love for people that love John Woo.
Yeah.
And I went in May of 97, I went to Fort Wayne to a Chessex open house. Now, Chessex open house is a giant warehouse event for the gaming industry where you go and you meet up with developers and you shake hands and you tell them about the problems in your retail area, and
Hmm.
you try to cater a solution to where you can sell more games and books to people. But while I was there in 97, there were a couple games that were being put on the market that kind of were different. They weren't Dungeons and Dragons. They weren't fantasy based really, although well, one of them kind of is. But you had Feng Shui and you had Extreme Vengeance put out that year. They
Hmm.
debuted that year, and those were really two good RPGs, two fun games that are not really meant for like a 5 or 7 person group, more of an intimate game between a DM, dungeon master, and just a couple players at most. And you basically have Hong Kong cinema at your tabletop. And then there was another game that debuted in 96, 97 called Legend of the Five Rings. And I don't know if this was, I think we got it before it actually hit the shelves. And that was an interesting game, but it was based in
It's
Oriental mysticism.
familiar, but I don't think I've seen that one.
Legend of Five Rings is a very interesting RPG. If
Hmm.
you ever have Kai have the chance to explain it all to you, sit
It's
down
a
for about
game,
six
right?
hours. You'll have Kai do this. Kai's
Okay.
good at explaining this game. But you have a different clans you could belong to. You're from different parts of the world. You have different styles of martial arts that your characters uh, partake in. There's a little bit of a caste system. You have a very easy RPG, and that's what those three games really had going for them. They were all easy to play, easy setup, easy to get a character made, and easy to run. They were also easy to die in, and that's not a negative about the system. That's the strength of the way they're set up. Face Off was introduced to me by people that were developing these games, and they told me about John Woo and all the things that you could see in John Woo movies. And then later that fall, here comes this film, and I watch it on opening Friday night, and it's so fucking good. It got released in 1997, but it kind of was beyond the borderline, so they had to give it the awards for 1998. So 1998 nominee, a Saturn Award Best Actor for John Travolta as well.
Hmm.
Supporting actress was by Joan Allen, and Dominique Swan got Best Performance for her performance as Jamie. As Jamie, excuse me. Best Director was John Woo, the winner, and the winner was Best Writer for Mark Werb, Michael Coleri, and then you have the nominees for Best Music and Makeup. But the fact it won Best Director and Best Writer, this movie was a heavyweight when it went into the awards categories,
Hmm.
and a lot of people were just shocked that we had an outsider coming in, and he was shaking up the action movie landscape. Keep in mind that we had just watched Con Air and The Rock. and this is the final movie in the Nic Cage trilogy of action that a lot of us action movie lovers always refer to. It's my favorite of the three. The Rock is a good movie. It's the final James Bond movie, in my opinion, because James Bond is Sean Connery, and then after that you have uh, Con Air, which is an acceptable film. It's not my favorite movie at all, but it's a good action film. And then you have this, which is I feel is a masterpiece. This is almost as good as his stuff from out east. And this movie was recommended to me by all these guys that wrote RPGs. And they, you want to see what John Woo can do, watch any of his films, and you'll just be blown away. And I thought, wow, that's completely accurate because I've never seen anything like this. And then in 2025, they have the best 4K home media release. That is a good nominee to have for a movie that's 28 years old, like this film is.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen this movie, I do have a link in our chat where you can watch this movie. And it's right here. You can see it for free. YouTube movies. And then once you get done with that, you can tell us thank you. Although everybody should have seen this movie by now. It's a classic.
Yeah, I think it is definitely a classic. It has so much to offer for men and women, even teenagers. I can't see why any teenager watching this, girl or boy, wouldn't think this is a good movie to watch. I mean, I really think it's got so much good stuff in it. But I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I give this movie a 90 out of 100, and that's a real high score for me. I think this movie is about as good as what could have came out of Hollywood at the time. And I don't think that there's a lot of other films that came out that year that I rated so high. I think Starship Troopers got an 88 from me or a 92, one of those two scores. But those are the two films for 1997. If those are the only two movies that came out that year, that's good because those are the only two films I saw that year in theaters.
Mhm.
And no, that's a lie. That's a lie. I did see Air Force One in theaters, and I did not like that movie as much as I wanted to. But
Yeah, one thing I did find a piece of trivia I thought was interesting. It said John Travolta and his stand-in did not get along with each other. The stand-in tried to sabotage the production to where it got quite legal and got fired midway through. One of the extras in the jail scene was trained by Nicolas Cage's stand-in to stand in for John Travolta, who still works with him to this day. So, because of this movie, John Travolta got his stand-in that he takes with him to be in his movies because he likes him so much. But that happens sometimes. Like we've talked about a few times, that you will have certain other production companies or other agents or something like that for some whatever reason, whether it's jealousy or money or whatever, will send a person or multiple people to apply for jobs on other movies that they want to see fail. And they will try to sabotage them through any means possible. Because just think about it. If you can get an actor so upset that they just quit and walk off, you could ruin a movie. You could ruin who ends up watching the movie or the outcome of the movie. Drag it long, make it take too long. People will quit, things like that. So the fact I tried to look it up, but it was, I just found out about it before we went live. So I didn't have time to dig like I did with that other movie that we found out, the huge sabotage. Remember, it was what was his name? The favorite actor, his wife was an actress, and they were in not the Great Gatsby, but the one where, God, Paul Newman. Remember Paul Newman's people were involved in some of the stuff in that movie, and they found out that someone was trying to sabotage it through the editing and some other things, and they were spending money where it wasn't supposed to be spent, all this kind of stuff. So you have lots of different places in Hollywood where one agent is mad about an actor that left them for another agent, so they try to sabotage the movies the new actor goes to, that kind of stuff. So it's really backstabbing, just like they say, and it really is like that. So if you don't do the right thing, you will be blackballed. You just they just get rid of you. So it really hurt me when the whole thing with the COVID stuff, because I didn't want to get the shot. So basically, I stopped getting calls because I wasn't jabbed up. So they're very cliquish too. They want specific things done in certain ways, and if you're not with the right people or do it, don't kiss the right ass, you just don't get jobs. So that's just the way it is. So if you go into the business, I hope you're ready to bend over or say F you and walk out the door, because that's the two choices you're going to have. It's really, really sad, but that's just the way it is in Hollywood. But yeah, my score for this movie would be right around 95 out of 100. So, because I thought it was near perfection. I did see a few little things that were kind of irritating and hokey, and I think if I boosted up John Travolta just a little bit more, it would have overshadowed some of the other things. But some of the uh, technical stuff, I guess, with filming with the CGI and things like that, kind of stood out a little bit here and there. But it is an older movie. It was from 1997?
97.
But the movie made money hand over fist. It has a huge following of people. And I really like Nicolas Cage. So even though a lot of people seem to not like his Ghost Rider or his, what was it, National Treasure, there's a few others that he made, Knowing. There's been a bunch of movies he's came out, but I like who he is. I like him as an actor. I like that he's himself. There's only been really one movie that I probably will never watch that he made. I will probably try every other movie but that one. Because I tried it for a few minutes and it was like, oh my God, I just can't watch it. But, it wasn't that long ago that he made it, and it's just bad. It was just for money. You could tell he just took money and he didn't give a shit about the movie at all. And that's really sad. It really does hurt a movie when you have actors or other people involved in it that could care less whether the movie is successful or don't believe in the script that they're holding in their hand. When an actor has a script in their hand and they see the character and they want this to be a hit, it's almost a hit just because of that. At least that's how I see it. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. I think it's got something for everybody in it.
This movie does preach to a lot of different theater goers as the congregation. A lot of us see this movie as when it came out, it was kind of like an experience that we had never had before. So
Hmm.
it was a nice change of pace at the time. I wish that there were other movies at the moment that could have came to us and shown us, like their version of what action cinema is. But this
Hmm.
movie's pretty freaking good, and I was very impressed with it. I'm looking for our movie list, and
Yeah, it's funny because every so often you'll say, "I know we did that movie," and I'll say, "No, we didn't," and I have to make you go through the list to find it because we didn't do it yet. We haven't done. We've talked about it because we bring up lots of movies every time we review something of how it reminded us of this or that or whatever. And there's this we got a ton of movies on our list too.
yeah,
So
we do.
the thing is there's so, I think I told you, I said, I hope you're in, when you asked me to first do this, I told you, I hope you're in it for the long haul, because once I got into it, I go, man, this is great. I just love doing it. Look forward to it every week. And I said, there's a shit ton of movies out there. We're never going to run out. So there's always going to be something that we haven't seen or watched or, we're involved in or whatever. But I enjoyed it. I thought this was really, really good. And I'm glad we watched it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. Um, Thinking that next week's movie, want to kind of go on a similar theme,
Mhm.
and it is next week is what, the 4th of January.
Yeah, and we'll see because I'm gonna be. I think I'll be all right by then. We'll see. trying to take my hair down real quick. Because I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna be out of commission for definitely for that Tuesday. I don't know how I'm gonna feel for a few days after that, but I think by Sunday I should be,
So Six
fine.
Nations. Go ahead and read Six Nations comment here.
Let's see. Okay, it says, oh, easy, 90 out of 100. Yeah, scratches all the itches for a woo film. But see, I can't believe I've never really looked at it that way for the director. People always say, I got to go see it because it's got this guy directing. I just never, I never looked at a movie that way, and I don't think I ever will. But good Holly weird transition of something that normally comes out of the East, over the top and all about fun. Holds up 28 years later. Wow, when you say 28 years, that's just hard to believe that it's been out that long, because this is a movie that I think if they had made this right now and just put it out at the theater, it would make money because people are starving for a good movie like this.
Yeah.
That's why John Wick and Deadpool and all those type of movies kicked ass at the box office, because people want to be entertained. Men and women and teenagers want to spend their money at your theater and watch a good movie. And it's just that there's just not very many. The last 5 or 6 movies I've went to see, there was like half, not even half the theater was full. So that's pretty sad to say that, but that's where we are. And until they start making some decent movies, it's just we're hard up. You know what I mean?
We are.
I mean,
We
people
really
are
are.
talking more about TV shows than they are movies, because the movies suck. There just isn't a lot of good movies, and this movie was kick ass. I mean, it was so good and so much fun to watch, and I was at the edge of my seat, through so many scenes, or crying because I was, my mama kicked in, and it was very romantic, and some of the scenes where when John Travolta was now Castor Troy, and he was being all like, hey baby, I can't wait till you get home, or whatever, being all sexy and stuff. And then when she walked in, my heart melted when she walked in the house, and there was candles lit everywhere and rose petals everywhere in every room of the house. And then also that huge dinner with 2 lobsters and everything. I was like, damn, he is going to get what he deserves. Because that's all I could think of was like, shit, if I came home to that and the music was playing and it was already, and I knew it was for me, I'd be, oh, damn, it made me feel like I was the sun in the middle of the universe. You know what I mean? He knew how to play the women. I can tell you that. The character in that movie knew how to like play whatever, and the woman would just like, what was that scene in that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he said that she had the ass of a 10-year-old boy, and it
True
makes
lies.
me want to get down on
True
his knee,
lies. True
sit up,
lies.
yeah, like a puppy, and beg for buttermilk or whatever. It was just so good. That's how you'd feel. A woman would feel if she came home and the house was set up like that or whatever, and the daughter wasn't there, and they were going to have the whole house themselves. Wow, they were going to have some fun. So it was great. I thought it was really good. Very emotional movie.
Well, I think it's time for me to reveal next week's
Okay,
exciting film.
what is it?
And here's one of my favorite scenes in that movie.
Are you employed, Mr. Lebowski?
Oh, wait, let me explain something to you.
I've never
I
seen.
am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, that or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Are you employed, sir?
Employed?
You don't go out looking for a job dressed like that, do you? On a weekday?
Is this what day is this?
Well,
The Big Lebowski.
Yep,
I've never
Big
seen it.
Lebowski. It is one of my favorite funny, stupid funny movies, and it is one of those films that just you can't get around it. It's just great. It's literally just the all-star cast. It's quirky as shit. A bunch of people in their 20s saw it when it came out in 1998, and they turned into cinephiles. And that movie is a frequent movie that gets dropped in theaters in college towns all across America. I'm looking at you, U of I town, Champaign, Urbana, because that's where I saw it for the first time. And I hope you guys are there to see it with us next week. Talk
Yeah,
to you.
anyone who would like to watch it, just let Bruce or I know.
God damn it, Wally.
Hi, Rooftop. I haven't seen him in a while. Anyone who would like to watch it with us, just let me know. One of us know. And we will send you a link because it's in my Discord. And we usually start around 12:30
Yeah.
on Sunday afternoon. We'll watch it. We'll discuss it a little bit. And then we'll go live afterwards. So.
Early Coen Brothers movie. Oh. Oh. Janet, do you have anything to say before we close this out?
No, that's it. Just have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you guys later, I guess.
Weekend's over. Let's go party. Everybody, see you next week.